We've seen the rising presence and a positive impact being made by women in the Indian corporate world. However, there's a phenomenal rise of the Indian women entrepreneur. These first-time business women have created waves, adding value not only to their families, but to the country's economy as well. Several times, we have witnessed women seeking advice and guidance on starting up their own ventures or scaling up to the next level. Through this episode, we endeavor to bring some key aspects of becoming an Indian women entrepreneur. And joining me in this Tête-à-Tête is Subathra Mylsamy, partner, AK Mylsamy Associates LLP, and a woman entrepreneur herself. Hi, Subathra, and welcome to this episode of Must Knows for Womenpreneurs. This is an attempt to break down and simplify all the basic aspects that must be kept in mind for first-time women entrepreneurs. Now, I know you're an entrepreneur yourself, so I'd like to hear from you. What, according to you, are the basic things that any women entrepreneur must keep in mind before beginning their journey?
Well, it's a very interesting topic to start off with, Sandhya. Thank you. The basic is for any woman is today, you need to identify the core skill area. 3 things are very important when you commence off a business, which is your core skill. Some of them are very good with cooking, some of them are good with fashion. So it varies. Some of them are very good in their tax. The second point is you need to make a basic research of before you commence a business, even if you're starting from home. What is the basics which has to get into commencing a business? So that basic search has to be put in place. And also you need to also chalk out a plan of how you're going to run your business. Even if it is going to be a small entity starting with home, doing something from home, you need to, you have to allocate a time for it. You have to see what, when, how you can put forth and bring the product out and to be sold in the market. So these 3 are very, very important. And also it is essential that you have to have good knowledge about the business which you do. Correct. So that is basically you can seek advice from people who are either doing in the same stream of business, or you can seek advice from professionals, people who will help you out to streamline your business. And the most important aspect is you just have to dive into, if you have the mind, you can do it. Absolutely. So there is nothing else. You need to have the confidence that you can take it forward, because I know many women who have excellent skill sets, but there is this fear always, how can I go ahead with something? I need somebody's support, but that is absolutely not required. All we need is to have a lot of confidence, be strong, and go ahead with it. So all I would say is you just need to pick up that courage and dive into it, putting all these 3 essential points in your mind, the core of the business. Second is make your basic research and also have a basic planning for your business and seek advice and help from professionals.
The most often asked question is, what type of a business entity should a woman entrepreneur form her business venture into? Now, I would like to share that there are several entities. There could be something as basic as a sole proprietorship to a partnership firm, a limited liability partnership or LLP, and a private company. Right. Now, I'm naming only a few types of entities. I would like to share through this episode that each entity has a different characteristic, be it the constitution or its requirements in terms of capital contribution, liabilities, compliance requirements. Yeah. So, it is important to have a basic knowledge. The research part that you mentioned also involves. Correct. It is important to have an in-depth knowledge. And if we are not able to seek knowledge, go to a professional to get an idea. I would like to hear your inputs on this.
You're absolutely right, because we also have a lot of queries on how to go about what is the kind of business. And then, of course, business, when you start, the most important aspect for many people is also capital comes in. And also depending upon what kind of business you want to do. See, this is again, it's on the long-term goal and plan. What you intend to do is how you can even decide on what kind of entity you want to. So this is how it is. You need to, these are the necessary, in fact, important steps which you need to take in and consider before you commence an entity or business, because it's very difficult from change from one entity to another entity. It is actually, it's a cumbersome process. So, and as a word of caution, as always we say.
Also, I'd like to add here that, it is not only important to decide on the entity type, but also not be in a tearing hurry to start an entity. See, what happens several times, I have in the course of my work also come across people who are so charmed by their 3 months or 5 months of profit that they straight away want to form it as a private company. Of course, visibility is there and credibility is there. Our advice to them in such cases, don't look at short-term revenues or profits and form an entity, because it comes with its own set of compliance requirements. At a later stage, one cannot say, profit I have not made, so I won't comply, because it will end up becoming a violation. So that is also a precursor step. So that is something any entrepreneur, women or not a woman or a man, has to keep in mind this. Subathra, we just discussed about the different types of entities and queries relating to that by first-time entrepreneurs. Now, there is another query relating to that. Whom to approach? Which professional to approach for rather getting advice about the entities or approach them for forming the registration? Please share your thoughts on that.
Definitely, because it's a very, very important step, Sandhya. Absolutely. You need to go to the right professional to take your guidance. So if it's going to be anything with incorporation or compliance or something, you can go with the company secretaries. And if it's going to be for your accounts, business handling your accounts and stuff, you need to go with the chartered accountants. And if it is going to be anything to do with your pricing, products, you need to have a cost accountant in place. And of course, the crucial and most important is your legal documentation.
Absolutely.
So if you have to have any opinions, if you have to do a due diligence, you need to go to a lawyer to ensure that your documents are right, which many people fail to do so. Today it has become so easy that over the net, you just pick up any template, fill it in, and then go ahead with business. Absolutely. But nobody understands the repercussion of doing something so easily, because there is no one fit for all sizes.
Correct.
Every entity and every business is different. So the internet cannot be your advisor at any cost. A lot of people think that they can do certain documentation or filing by themselves as individuals. Yes, there are so many portals available today and you can e-file them, but please do understand that there are certain queries which will be raised when you do these filings, where you need to have a knowledge how to handle it. What is the next step I need to do? That aspect can be only handled by a professional. This is actually an investment to your business, and you need to go in the right way. So this is your first baby step, and that baby step has to be absolutely right, because that is your foundation for business.
Absolutely. Basically, it's like you cut costs at the right place and not look for cutting costs at the wrong one. Yeah, well said.
Absolutely, yes.
Now, not many entrepreneurs know that just setting up an entity in itself doesn't complete the process. There are so many other registrations post setting up such an entity. Irrespective of the entity, there are some mandatory registrations like PAN, TAN, GST when some threshold limits are met. Besides, for women entrepreneurs, there's also a registration under the Startup India scheme where they get some incentives. A few years after they've established slightly, they can go through the SME or MSME registration. And a host of other registrations, such as your ESI, PF when your employee limits hit a certain threshold. What would you further have to share on the registrations part?
Because a lot of small business or women who are starting, say even from home, the mindset for them is, I will start the business. Let me see how it is going to go. I'm not, they are not worried about what I have to put in, what compliances has to be done. So they will say, let me start. If I make a profit, then let me think about what else I can do. The business for anybody is like a baby. So the way you have to take care of the baby, you have to nurture your business also in the same way. So these compliances are also the first step. You need to ensure how you name your child, the same way you create a name, you get your entity registered. Next step is this compliance, like giving for whatever month is required, you change the feeding or pattern, or you give your required vaccinations for your child. The same aspect applies here as well. You need to ensure all these compliances are taken into consideration, and then you move on to starting your business, because the reason is you will save a lot of time. So it's always best to get all your paperwork done at one shot, and then concentrate on your business and keep getting it going.
Especially the PAN and TAN, irrespective of the amount that is earned as revenue or eventually as profit, it is advisable to put in place a PAN and TAN for any type of an entity.
Absolutely. And also, Sanjay, if you had noticed, a lot of women who are into cooking. So even for cooking and baking, you need to get this FSSI code done. And it has got certain standards. Before you start something, have all these things in place so it becomes easy. It is a must. FSSI for food products is definitely a must, because that is also going to increase your brand value in the market.
Subathra, we spoke about the different types of registrations post an entity is formed. Now you form an entity, now you have your registrations in place. You are running the business, right? So yes. I want you to share with our viewers the importance and cruciality of legal documentation being in place, and what sort of documents need to be put in place.
For startups or any new business, the agreements or contracts are extremely important, because when you start off, first thing is what happens is the funding comes in. So who is going to fund for your project or for your business? It will be all relationship-based, trust-based, which majority of women go first. That is the first step. Very few women go outside and approach for funding and things like that to commence it. Majority of the time, things go haywire because business and profession and emotions go haywire. So it's always best to have agreements or contracts written. It is not wrong. And the other most important thing is you have also contracts or agreements which you have to sign with other vendors. You will be sourcing things from others from outside, like basic raw materials, basic ingredients. For all these things, you will be contacting vendors. Now, these vendors also, they have to adhere to certain terms and conditions of what you speak. So speaking to them in day one, saying, I will give you 50%. Later, once my product reaches this stage, I will give you 30%. All these things saying verbally is not going to help you. When you have it written with your required vendors, it gives a concrete setup also in place for you. And tomorrow, if they go by default, they don't supply it on right time, or there is any other quality issues in their supplying of raw materials, you can definitely go and approach them. And also you have something in your hand to say, look, you are responsible, you're liable. But when you don't have anything written, then it is all in the air. Anything can happen tomorrow.
Correct.
I can tell you today, I did this, I will do it, but tomorrow I may not do it. So that promise will not be kept. So to safeguard your interest and your business, you need to have these contracts and agreements in place with right from the funding aspect, right from your vendor aspect. And the most important thing for startups, which I would say is, please have an NDA in place before you start off any discussions, whoever may be, so that your idea is yours and it will safeguard you and you can execute your own idea. And also, I would like to state at this point, no Google will help you out on agreements because each nature of business is different.
Yes. Yes.
I would like to repeat this because many a times people come to us, from where did you get this? Ma'am, we just took it out from Google, we just signed. But you need to understand that any document or agreement will be valid, or you can test its validity only in the court of law, not in Google quotes.
Correct.
So you need to understand that is the ultimate test. So you need to ensure that you go to again, I would mention the right professional.
The right professional. Correct.
Absolutely. So that your entity is safe, your business is safe, and you will proceed in a safe manner.
Correct.
So as your business grows, like if it comes to a medium size or a little larger entity, you have other options because you will be hiring more people, more vendors will be coming in, especially in catering or clothing or whatever may be the industry which you choose. You will have more vendors coming in. So obviously the capital which you had started as self-sustained may not be enough. So the next option is you go to the banks. Today, there are so many schemes or loans available exclusively for women, and it is customized for women needs. So it's any day better to approach a bank and ask for what are their, what is it required? What are the documentation required to be presented before you take a loan? And also to be aware of your interest rates, which is a must. You need to know how much is the interest, what is the EMI you will be able to pay monthly, depends upon your turnover from what you're getting into the business. There is just no point going blindly and taking a loan and coming and then not able to pay it.
Correct.
So you need to have a clear understanding when you approach the bank and ask them a lot of questions. Walk into a bank or ask a bank person to come to your place, ask them questions. The majority of the time where I feel women fail is on the aspect of sustaining themselves on the capital, meaning go get into it. It's okay. Don't be scared. Majority of us draw ourselves back when it comes to anything related with finance. And definitely I would also say I'm one among them. Sometimes for a long time, I was very, very petrified about, getting into an investment or how how do we go about taking a loan or even in investing into a share or something. But I just said, why not? We have come so far. What is it which has to hold us back? It's nothing. It is again gaining some knowledge, understanding. So you have banks today, especially I would like to say about the Startup India registrations. There are a lot of schemes given for startups today, which you can make use of them to a great extent. The only thing you have to understand there is basically nothing comes easy. And especially when it is capital, you have to really put your heart and soul to raise capital. Again, I would say is the confidence and to break from the fear.
This was very relevant. You were talking about this because I was reading, the Ministry of Finance in its press release sometime early April. I think it was 8th of March, Women's Day.
Okay.
They had given out a press release. They had shared a few interesting estimates, which said, and I quote from their release, about 80% of the total Mudra scheme loans, were disbursed to women entrepreneurs, which is very interesting.
Fantastic.
And almost 81% account holders under the Startup India scheme are women. I think there is a mandate that you have to hold an account sort of a thing. So, close to 81% are account, that really speaks volumes about the fact that, we can't say that there is no awareness. Clearly there is some awareness, a lot of awareness. Also here, I would like to add that you had spoken about self-financing by the women and their families, and you had spoken about banks and financial institutions which have opened up their doors, especially to women entrepreneurs, and the government schemes. There is also a recent trend of angel investors which was hitherto considered like an all-boys club where they'll fund only, male-driven entrepreneurial ventures. There has been an increasing statistics of women becoming angel investors, as well as women, doling out investments or funds to first-time women entrepreneurs. So it's a very heartwarming scenario. I would like to just add that here.
Definitely. Happy to, know that. Yeah, so many of them are women who are on angel investments as well. Yes.
Subathra, we were just speaking at length about the importance of legal documentation as well as effective contracts management in any business enterprise. Another crucial aspect, a legal aspect, is the intellectual property rights, a crucial aspect, but most often missed out aspect. I want you to throw light on this aspect of running a business.
Sure. As you clearly said, the name, intellectual property rights. Intellectual is something which is radiating from your mind, your head, your creativity. It's a property. Please understand whatever you are doing is a property also, and it is a right.
Yes.
So you have to be the person to claim these rights. Very often, many people ignore this aspect. See, when business starts, especially small or big, it is immaterial. Intellectual property is very simple. You have about 6 to 7 categories for registration, which is patents. If you think if it is patents, it is only in the aspect of if you make an invention. See, even it can be a basic invention. Say if you're going to make since we're talking in the concept of women, if you're going to make dosa, it is usually you put on the tawa, you take and you spread it. But in case if you have found out a new method or a new easy idea to help the dosa to be made, there is a machine to it, and you have created that idea, you have worked on it, and you have created that product, then you can file it under patent.
Correct.
Now, coming to trademarks. What is this trademarks which people think? Now, trademarks is nothing but a name for your own business. That name and that brand is being registered. That can be done using a trademark. Next aspect is something called as copyrights. In copyrights, for example, if you're an artist, mind you, I'm again insisting it's exclusivity from your own mind and creation.
Correct.
You're not seeing something and replicating.
Yeah.
Then these things can be copyrighted. It is all these put together is what we call as intellectual property rights.
Yes.
The need and necessity of why we have to go and do all these things. Only when we grow as a big company, we need to do all these things. No. The reason I insist is when you're starting as a brand, today you have million bakeries, your own identity, how will people find out? It is a name.
Yes.
You have to do these things, and it is essential that IPR is being taken care of right from the beginning of your business. So if you're going to create your own brand, you need to safeguard that name and that brand. For that, all these things have to be done. Not only that, you have to also, after it has been created and given to you, you should ensure that the compliance is being followed also. Approach the right professional who will guide you in the right way.
Yes.
Absolutely. Going to sell your business later on, you can transfer even your IP rights to the business. So it is similar like any tangible property which you transfer. The same thing applies to IPR, which not many people are aware of. So
yes.
There is a weightage which you have created in the market for your own brand and for the quality of goods. That is also value addition to your business.
Absolutely.
That right definitely can be also transferred.
Yes.
And one more crucial point is, why do we do it, ma'am? Why should we have this registration done? That is to ensure that there is no duplicity of your own product or somebody else does it in.
Yes. Somebody else doesn't palm off on your work. Yes.
Correct.
Which brings us to the next most important point. See, every point is important in our discussion, but a very crucial point is how a product or service is marketed, the marketing aspect of making the world aware that you are doing a certain product or service.
Correct.
So marketing your product or service, going out and presenting yourself on any platform, these are things that will catch viewer attention or a consumer attention, and they are most likely to increase your revenue and profits over time.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on how good marketing will affect or improve the business?
As you have covered most of the points today, we have moved from the physical space to more of a digital medium. You have a lot of free platforms today available where you can market or put your products on sale. Like, many people need to also understand that when you start your business, you need to also allocate a particular amount for marketing, because without marketing, you cannot create any kind of visibility. So how do you market? What is the budget? Everything falls again in the gambit of the budget. So once you start off a business, you can't afford to splurge so much on marketing, because marketing as such is an expensive factor. So it's safer in a way to leverage on the platforms or on apps which are freely available when you're starting off something. That's the point which I would really, really advise and tell people to be very cautious about when you get into the marketing aspect.
Yes. No, you're absolutely right. Let's say for somebody like a home baker, she can create an page on Instagram and become visible, as you said. Likewise, for somebody who's making or designing clothes. Once the visibility happens, because also I believe marketing is an ongoing process. It's not like you've earned your profits and you stopped with that.
No, yeah.
That also involves a lot of creativity, actually, how you market, yeah.
Yes, a lot of creativity, and how to catch hold of the customer base is another ballgame.
Yeah. We've been speaking about the various aspects that are required to get a business up and running, right? Be it their setting up as an entity, their registrations, the legalese, the marketing and finance aspect. I would also request through this episode, viewers or first-time women entrepreneurs or home women entrepreneurs to also give attention to the concept of insuring their businesses. So what are your thoughts on that?
See, I was not even aware of certain aspects. There's something called as insurance coverage, where it is called as business interruption policy. So they give insurance when you have, unforeseen calamities or natural disasters, or, for example, the COVID, the pandemic which came in.
Yes.
What kind of insurance has to be taken, when and where, according to your size of your business, according to the service you're providing. So that again is another aspect or another in-depth area where you need to have appropriate guidance on what kind of insurance to be done. When you do business online, what is the kind of insurance you can do online portals?
Yes.
Because you're on e-commerce. What is the insurance available for you on e-commerce? You need to see. Because this is a trend of late which has been setting in. E-commerce portals are picked up because of the pandemic and stores are closing. E-commerce is picked up. So what is the appropriate insurance on e-commerce? Say, for example, you're bouncing back to have physical stores. Well, what is the insurance for physical stores you can take? If it's going to be theft, or if it is going to be fire, or if it is going to be some water leakage. See, these are the basic things which people have to have an idea about what covers what. We are in a very dynamic setup and dynamic world. Things have changed. So please be aware of whatever insurance you have taken ages back may not be applicable to what you are doing currently.
So be insured and be protected.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. Statistics show that only 10% of the Indian entrepreneurial sector comprises women. A World Bank study has indicated that the Indian economy will grow in double digits if more women participate in the country's economy. What are your thoughts?
If you want more and more women to participate or to drive business, I would always suggest that you need to have a great support system at the back. We never have to shy away from asking help. Indra Nui has amazingly suggested, she says you need to form a sisterhood that is absolutely essential. You need to have sisterhoods in your own place. You need to have people or friends, women who will be there for you at any time when you need them. That kind of sisterhood has to be developed more and more. And other biggest thing is women have to support women. Have always a healthy competition. Respect people for their skill set, for their talent, and always be there. You need to be there for one another. As much as we have spoken about all these things, please take care of yourself. Another important factor is mental well-being. Have that mental well-being with you. Do whatever it takes to keep you in balance. So all these things is a must to run any business.
Absolutely. So well said. These are all not the legal requirements, but the human, the emotional requirements that will keep a woman running sane and also help her running her household as well as business. Through this episode, Subathra, I think we have tried to simplify and break down and bring a basic awareness of all that is needed to start the journey as an entrepreneur. We hope it reaches out and motivates people in the right way. I thank you for joining me in this session, and we wish all our viewers a happy entrepreneurial journey. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sandhya. Thank you.
Bye.